Hello everyone, welcome back to the podcast. Please, if you're watching this through YouTube, please subscribe, ring that notification bell, share this video, like, even dislike it if you want to, comment. Also, please follow me on my socials, kirstyjohnsoncoaching on both Facebook and on Instagram. Also, I am a relationship coach, so you can get sessions from me if you do want to do this, or you just want information on my coaching, my style, how I coach, what sorts of things I coach, and sort of a conversation with me. Please contact me through kirstyjohnsoncoaching@gmail.com. It is an email. Send me a quick email and I can send you one back, and we can talk about how I go about helping you guys and my coaching methods and things like that, because it's hard to write it down. I find it very weird writing my methods down. I like to tell people in person. Moving on. So, today's video, I'm going to be talking about something that kind of struck me, and I don't know when I'm going to be uploading this because I don't know what episode this is. So it could be a week from now, and this is kind of old news. But I want to talk a little bit about what's happened with Caroline Flack and her unfortunate suicide, and I want to talk about this idea of sort of judgment by public opinion, and this idea that people are being, instead of the actual courts going about prosecuting people, getting the verdicts, getting the people that they need, and getting proper, a judgment in there. People are seeming to dogpile, which is a terminology, dogpile people, and it is causing a lot of psychological effects. And as I'm very, very concerned by psychology, I currently study psychology, I think to me it's even more weird and even more kind of, what's the word, interesting. And it really did sadden me. This really saddened me. So those of you who don't know who Caroline Flack is, she hosted Love Island. She's also hosted The Extra Factor, which are both UK. Everyone knows what The X Factor is, singing competition by Simon Cowell, and obviously Love Island, which I'm not really a big fan of. I've seen it a handful of times and I'm still not a big fan of, but each to their own. But I know who she is and I've seen her present it, and I think she was one of the best parts of Love Island. But her death and her suicide, though I never think we should judge people. People have their own actions, and especially with suicide is something that is it's so personal, and a lot of people's like, it's my fault, I didn't say this. No, I think every single time someone calls someone through Samaritans and they commit suicide when they hang up the phone, if they blame themselves for it. And it's something you have to learn as a coach and as a counsellor, which I'm currently learning. I'm currently training to be a counsellor and I'm a coach. It's a horrible, feeling that might one day, and it's a scare and it's a fear that one day someone will come in who is going to commit suicide, and there's just nothing you can do. Absolutely nothing you can do. And we can sit here in our house and say that's really, really selfish, because if she generally was guilty, then someone hasn't got their justice. And that's fair enough. But realistically, she didn't do this so they didn't get justice. She did this because people were dogpiling her. And no one should be blamed for her death except for herself. But it does raise questions about how our society is currently running itself. And I will talk today about the effects, the psychological effects, because I'm a relationship coach, the effects of not only to life itself for someone who's dogpiled, so to the extreme, like poor Caroline Flack, suicide, but also to the opposite side, whether or not you actually don't commit suicide and you're dogpiled. And one of the weirdest kind of things that when I was thinking about this topic, when I always think of stuff like this, and was on the sense of sort of on the sort of, because this is on the macro But on the micro is individual people who have been accused of things. Now, I'm someone who, reason we have a justice system, by the way, that is innocent until proven guilty is because everyone is assumed to be innocent. You don't try and prove somebody's guilt, you're trying to prove someone's innocent, and if that becomes false, that's how you get. It's same as psychology. Psychologists, those of you who don't know how psychology papers work, you're trying to prove the opposite. That's why when psychological papers come out, you have to have both sides of the story. You have to have, that's why you accept the null hypothesis and not accept the just doing this 5 minutes ago and I have no idea what I was gonna say. Experimental hypothesis. There it is. It's in my head somewhere. My brain's falling asleep. But yeah, so that's why in psychology that's the same as in law. You're always trying to prove innocence. You're never trying to prove guilt. You're trying to prove the opposite. And there's a case for and there's a case for against, and that's how it works. That's how things works. But in public opinion, it seems like everybody thinks that everybody is just guilty, and they just want to be horrible to people. It's a basic. I just want to be horrible to someone because I feel bad about myself. This is basically people who dogpile people just don't feel good in themselves. This is the psychology behind a bully. A bully is someone who isn't okay with themselves. And a lot of bullies have been bullied. And it's even worse nowadays because you can hide behind the screen. Before you had to physically go out and tell a celebrity that you hated them. You know, now you can just go onto your phone or even your watch. That scares me. And type a message in and send it through Twitter or Facebook or Instagram or whatever. And really be horrible to people. Because there's no that's the other thing, there's no consequences to this. And it kind of stops the boundaries of people's and humans' behaviour, and we need boundaries to survive. You know, that's why we teach children not to touch the fire, because that's a boundary. You don't touch things that's going to hurt you. And from a relationship standpoint as well, on things like Caroline Flack, if she was generally innocent, it's not just the idea that, okay, if she was guilty, then you still shouldn't dogpile her anyway, because she'll get the justice that is, that is served. She'll get prison time or whatever, and so she won't need to date. But if she's genuinely innocent, because these are just claims, there's no, I don't know from evidence whether or not there was some sort of dividing evidence, but it still doesn't mean, they haven't gone through the trial. It's not like a Harvey Weinstein case where it's like, he may not have done every single person who's accused him, but I know at least one of them is correct, because no way a man can accumulate about 100 women and not one of them be correct. It's just too weird. And also there was quite sufficient evidence. Anyway, moving on. But this is what I get from this. That it affects people on this level. In saying Caroline Flack, from the standpoint of innocence, she now has to go out into life and try get a job. She was dumped from Love Island, which will never be the same. But also from sort of relationships, if it was innocent, her name, not even worse, her name is all over the news, but also as well, anybody goes to like find information about her, even someone on the micro, and I'll talk about a micro one that I've seen, and I'll link that down below as well, is that, she then has to go out and she has to have relationships, and people know this information about her, and it can keep people off, and it can make people very insecure. Imagine trying to date when you know you're innocent of a crime, but the whole world is against it, that they're thinking you're a bad person. And I've seen this on the micro I said before. I'll link it down below. I cannot remember the name of the guy. I probably should have researched this before. By the way, guys, I have researched 2 really, really close to my heart topics, and I will be doing very, very long videos on them, so stay tuned. But one of the, just say that I do research. I do it. But I'll link it down below. young lad I remember seeing, I think it was on this, I don't know if it was on This Morning, I think it was This Morning, and he was talking about that he'd been accused of rape, and basically the reason that they found out is because text message between a girl and her friend had basically, the girl who accused him, by the way, and her friend basically saying, I accused him because of this, and I don't know what it was about. And I do want to do a video on false accusations because they can ruin people's lives, guys. They can ruin people's lives. So don't falsely accuse people of things. But if something has generally happened to you, I stand by you. And it's okay in these situations to stand by the person you think is the victim in these situations, because that's how we are. We want to protect the people who are weak. That's how human existence works. You know, you protect the weak and make them strong. But you want to do this in a way that doesn't destroy the person if you don't know the full set of stories. He said, like, it's ruining me getting a job, you know, they Google my name, it's okay, yeah, okay, jobs, you know, it's off my record or whatever, but people Google me and my name comes up because of this. Or it only takes me going out dating with a girl for her to kind of go on a Facebook page of something, or see my Facebook page, or see me tagged in something, or even see my name in medias, to kind of look at me and think. And it happens on the micro, in the sort of core by public opinion, on the micro again, by things like, you know, when someone has been humiliated at school, you know, everything is now on social media as well, so everything is out there, you know. And it really has affected things, because thing is, you don't know the actual truth. And unlikely in these situations with Caroline Flack, we will know the truth. And a great example actually of this, where the truth is kind of flipped and we kind of now know the truth, is what's happened between Johnny Depp and Amber Heard. And I'm obsessed with watching videos on this. I don't know why. I think it's from a psychological perspective. It just irks me. And I don't like, as soon as I saw Amber Heard, by the way, I really didn't like her. She makes my skin crawl. And I think it's because I've learned a lot about people who are abusers and narcissists, and that I know certain signs that it just made my skin crawl. And I'll also make a video, I'm trying to make a video on kind of abuse and how abusers work and the psychology behind abusers. Because it struck me when I saw this about Johnny Depp that he didn't he didn't show any of the signs in previous relationships. None of his exes were saying abuse. None. Absolutely none. And it's very unlikely someone has started to abuse. Nobody starts to abuse. Abuse slowly comes up through relationships. Especially not a guy, like, I think he's in his 50s. A guy in his 50s finally deciding he's going to abuse a wife after 3 marriages. It's very unlikely. But it showed that people didn't know the truth. They dogpiled him. They ruined his career. They ruined his prospects. I don't think he's dated since. And they didn't think, and nobody thinks, this is what I think irks a lot of people with it, is that it irks people because they are, you know, you don't know the effect that it has on the person, and you don't know whether or not they're innocent. Now, you want to dogpile them when they're guilty, fair enough. Okay? Fair enough. Go ahead. See if that makes you feel better. Because I'm going to tell you now, it won't. Dogpiling someone, cancelling somebody, does not make you feel better. It's your own insecurities coming back to haunt you. And so many people, I really want to know what the actual word is. It's a Freudian term. See if I can actually find it, actually. 1 minute, guys. Let's see if I can find the actual term for you. Just a minute. Where you, I think it's called deflection, actually. See if I can find it. It's a term used in psychodynamics. Yeah, it's psychodynamics psychology. see if I can actually find it. Projection, I think it is. Projection. This involves individuals attributing their own unacceptable thoughts, feeling, and motives to another person. Okay, yeah, it is. It's projection. And now we have the definition. It's projection, and it is the idea that we project horrible things about ourselves onto other people. And instead of looking into our own instead of looking into your own thought process and your own kind of insecurities, you just deflect it onto somebody else. You just go straight onto somebody else. And this is what happens in these dog piles. You feel very insecure about yourself. You think you're guilty. You're a horrible person. So guess what you do? You send that hate to somebody else. And you know what? Doesn't make you feel any better, does it? No. So stop doing it, please. I'm glad I found that, actually. This bit that I'm reading on projection talks about that you might hate someone, but your superego tells you that such hatred is unacceptable. You can solve the problem by believing that they hate you. That might not necessarily be the greatest definition, actually, but it's this idea that you are trying to project your own insecurities onto somebody else. I think it's maybe a slightly different word, but that's kind of what I've come up with. I love that I'm just saying that. But yeah, so next time you think of writing a comment or being like this, think of Caroline Flack, think of Johnny Depp, think of the poor guy that got dogpiled for being, a rapist when he wasn't, and think about your own actions, because whether or not someone is guilty or innocent of a crime, let the courts deal with that. I always think karma will hit you. Sorry to have a few swears, but karma is a bitch. Okay? And it will catch up with you. It is caught up with Amber Heard, and if Caroline Flack was going to, it was going to catch up with her anyway. If she generally did do that, she'd have got prison time. If she hadn't, she'd been free, and her boyfriend would have been dogpiled in the media. So the world has a very strange way of balancing itself back out. One thing you should know about humankind is that we're very good at balancing things. Nature likes to balance, and karma is a way of doing that. So you do something bad, the world will do something bad back. It's strange. So next time you think of writing a horrible comment, just think about the effect that it will have on somebody else, and don't trial someone by calling. Don't come to conclusions, because this is another part of this. You're coming to a conclusion without the full evidence just because everybody else is. I encourage you guys to question everything, even what I'm telling you. Not this, but everything else. Question everything you're ever being told, because inquisitive people don't get hurt very often, because you can smell BS before it comes anywhere near you. You can smell it. And you'll get what Shannon Lester likes to call the douche chills. You will get just these chills of whenever someone is doing things, just like I got Amber Heard, just like, yeah. So just try and not be part of the mob, because why would you be part of the mob? The other thing as well is, why would you waste, even if it's like 2 minutes, sending a tweet or like writing a tweet? I don't know how long. I haven't tweeted in about 5 years. But why would you waste your time when you could be using that time to work on yourself? Oh, by the way, I recently got a book that is like 100... What is it? What's it called? I'll go find it. 1 minute. Wait a second. Oh, here we are. 100 Days of Self-Discovery. It was bought for a present for my birthday, which, by the way, was Valentine's Day. And it's really, really good, and it has some amazing things like who are you, what is your favourite book and why. This is a really good one. What do you want your legacy to be? God, that is a good question. So I would suggest to you guys, from a coach, self-discover yourself, because It is worth it. It is worth looking into your own prejudices, why you make decisions. I don't know if this will go out before the other one, but I have got a video on the art of persuasion. And also as well, it stops you from making these flashpoint decisions, which everybody makes, let's be honest, that's human nature. So look into yourself. Whenever you're doing something remotely toxic or something like this, or remotely kind of childish or whatever, there's an emotional something somewhere that isn't clicking. And I encourage you guys to keep diaries, to find self-discovery and to understand yourselves, because the more you understand about yourself, the less you become part of the mob, the less you become part of this cancel culture BS that's been spread. So please self-discover yourself. Okay, that's enough for me, guys. Tune in for my next podcast. I don't know which one it will be. So organized. Also as well, to remind you, please like and subscribe this video, ring the notification bell, put your notifications onto all, or just some if you want to. Also, please don't forget to watch on my socials. I do post about the ones that I'm posting. I'm going to try be a little bit more active. I'm not very good at active things unless it's to emails. I'm active on email. Just all send me emails. That's how it works. Send me an email. Anyone who's in my private life will know I am terrible around Texas. I'm a good coach though. So also as well, if you do want coaching with me, good transition, Kirsty. I have got my own coaching business, Kirsty Johnson Coaching, and you can find information on that on my socials through Facebook and Instagram, which are just Kirsty Johnson Coaching, or you can go and get more information through me, and I'll tell you how I coach and things through email at kirstyjohnsoncoaching@gmail.com. Okay guys, have a lovely day.